The murder of Swedish journalist Kim Wall in 2017 is one of the most harrowing and bizarre cases in recent true crime history. What started as a routine interview with an eccentric Danish inventor ended in Wall's gruesome death aboard a homemade submarine. The case garnered international attention not only for its shocking violence but also for the chilling behaviour of the perpetrator. So sit down, grab yourself a mocha as we unravel the case of Kim Wall. Kim Wall was a 30-year-old Swedish journalist known for her fearless reporting from around the world. Born on March 23, 1987, Wall was raised in Trelleborg, Sweden, and developed an early interest in global issues, storytelling, and journalism. After earning degrees in international relations from the London School of Economics and in journalism from Columbia University, she pursued a career that took her to some of the most remote and dangerous corners of the world. Wall reported on topics ranging from post-war Sri Lanka to climate change in the Marshall Islands, always with a commitment to bringing underrepresented stories to a global audience. Her work appeared in prominent outlets like The Guardian, The New York Times, Vice, and Time. By all accounts, Wall was a rising star in the journalism world, respected, driven, and compassionate. In August 2017, Kim was preparing to leave Copenhagen for Beijing with her partner, Danish designer Ole Stubb. Before departing, she decided to do one last interview for a story she was working on about Peter Madsen, a Danish inventor, entrepreneur, and a self-taught engineer who had built 3 submarines and was working on space travel technology. Peter Madsen was a prominent figure in Danish engineering circles, known for his ambitious projects and eccentric personality. Born in 1971, Madsen had developed a reputation as a talented but volatile man with dreams of building rockets and space capsules through his organization, RML Space Lab. He was also famous for his submarines, particularly in the UC-3 Nautilus, the largest privately built submarine in the world, which he completed in 2008 with the help of volunteers and crowdfunding. Madsen's public persona was one of an ambitious, self-made inventor with a passion for engineering. However, those close to him described a darker, more sinister side. Madsen had been known to exhibit violent behavior, and he was described by some as manipulative and narcissistic. On the evening of August 10, 2017, Kim Wall boarded Madsen's UC-3 Nautilus submarine for what was supposed to be a short interview. Wall had been in contact with Madsen for some time, and they agreed to meet for the interview as part of her ongoing work on a story about his engineering projects. The submarine set off from Roskilde Harbour in Copenhagen, and it was the last time anyone would see Kim Wall alive again. Later that night, Wall's partner, Ole Stubb, became concerned when she failed to return home as planned. He reported her missing the following morning. At the same time, authorities were alerted that the UC-3 Nautilus had not returned to port, and a search operation was launched. The next day, August 11th, the submarine was spotted near Køge Bay, south of Copenhagen. Shortly after it was located, the submarine sank, but Madsen was rescued and brought to shore. When questioned by police, Madsen initially claimed that he had dropped Wall off safely at a nearby island after their interview. However, as the search for Wall continued, Madsen changed his story several times. At first he said that she had died in an accident when a heavy hatch hit her on the head, and he had buried her at sea. But the truth was far more sinister. On August 21st, 2017, Kim Wall's dismembered torso was discovered on a beach near Copenhagen. The body had been weighed down with metal to prevent it from floating to the surface, but it was clear that someone had gone to great lengths to conceal her remains. In the weeks that followed, more parts of Wall's body were found, including her head, legs, and arms. The grim discovery confirms the worst fears of her family and friends. Kim Wall had been brutally murdered. With the recovery of Wall's body, Madsen was arrested and charged with her murder. Forensic examinations revealed that Wall had died from either strangulation or having her throat cut. Additionally, the autopsy showed no signs of a head injury, discrediting Madsen's initial claim that she had died in an accident. The dismemberment of Wool's body was done with precision, leading investigators to believe that Madsen had planned the crime in advance. During the investigation, police also uncovered disturbing video on Madsen's computer depicting violent assaults on women, some of which appeared to involve real torture and death. This evidence painted a chilling picture of Madsen's violent fantasies and suggested that Wool's murder had been premeditated. Madsen's trial began in March 2018, and it quickly became clear that the case was not just about a tragic accident, as Madsen had initially claimed. Prosecutors argued that Madsen had lured Wool onto the submarine with the intent to torture, kill, and dismember her. They presented evidence of his sadistic tendencies, including the violent videos found on his computer and the testimony of former colleagues who described Madsen's disturbing behavior. Madsen continued to deny that he had initially killed Wool, maintaining that her death was accidental but admitting to dismembering her body and disposing of it in the sea. The trial lasted several weeks, during which the court heard from forensic expert witnesses and even Madsen himself, who gave conflicting accounts of what had happened aboard the submarine. Ultimately, the jury found Madsen guilty of premeditated murder, sexual assault, and the desecration of her body. On April 25, 2018, Peter Madsen was sentenced to life in prison, a sentence reserved in Denmark for the most serious crimes. However, in Denmark, the maximum sentence is up to 17 years. The court concluded that Madsen had planned the murder, driven by his violent fantasies and the opportunity to act them out in the isolation of his submarine.
A Danish inventor has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for murdering and dismembering a Swedish journalist aboard his self-built submarine. Kim Wall had been researching an article about Peter Madsen. He was arrested in August 2017 when he emerged from the vessel without her. Later in the month, police identified a torso washed ashore in Copenhagen as that of the 30-year-old. Prosecutors think Wall died either by strangulation or having her throat cut. 47-year-old Madsen admitted dismembering the body and throwing it overboard, but he denied murdering the journalist. His lawyer says he will appeal the sentence.
The murder of Kim Wall shocked the world, not only for its brutality, but also for the bizarre circumstances surrounding it. Wool's family, friends, and colleagues were devastated by the loss of a talented and compassionate journalist whose career had been cut tragically short.
It was a relief that we could bury her in all parts of Kim. And we are so grateful for it. Was 3 special trained Swedish dogs that had the ability to find the body parts on the bottom of the...
How did you cope? I just don't know how you coped.
We had no alternative. We have to.
What should we do?
We have to live on. We must accept what's happening, but we will never understand it because it's so extremely. It's so absurd. It's impossible.
In her memory, the Kim Wall Memorial Fund was established to support young female journalists who cover underreported stories around the world, ensuring that Wall's legacy of fearless journalism would continue. Peter Madsen's trial and conviction marked the end of a horrifying chapter, but questions lingered about how such a seemingly respected inventor could have concealed such violent tendencies for so long. Madsen's case also prompted discussions in Denmark about the treatment of high-profile criminals and the potential for rehabilitation in cases of extreme violence. In October 2020, Peter Madsen attempted a jailbreak but was unsuccessful. After threatening a prison employee with a pistol-like object, he managed to flee the facility. However, this was very short-lived as he was surrounded by armed police only a few hundred meters away. As he was being detained, he threw away a pistol-like object and police noticed a belt around his waist and backed away for safety. Instead of trying to escape again, he sat down next to a hedge whilst a remote-controlled bomb disposal robot evaluated the area. He was surrounded by armed units for an hour and a half before being detained and brought back to the prison.
Now, next on the programme, I want to turn to what's been one of the most read stories on the BBC News website all today. The Danish submarine builder who murdered the journalist on board his homemade sub has been caught trying to escape from prison. Peter Madsen is serving a life sentence at a prison close to Copenhagen. He initially made his escape by threatening a prison employee and then jumped into a van and forced the driver to go through the prison gates. This was the moment that police caught up with him. You can see him wearing black, lying in a bush on the left of the screen with an armed officer just in front of him. Well, the police have given us more information today on the circumstances of his capture.
So
he was at large for a relatively short time before we got him. In connection with the arrest, he throws something away that we thought looked like a pistol-like object. We will investigate it, but we don't think that it's a gun. At the same time, when he is arrested and handcuffed, they found that he was wearing a belt that looked like a bomb belt.
The murder of Kim Wall stands as a bleak demonstration of the dangers faced by journalists, even in situations that seem routine. Wall's death at the hands of Peter Madsen shocked the world and brought attention to the importance of safety for those who pursue difficult stories in challenging environments. The case also highlighted the dark potential for violence in seemingly ordinary individuals, as Madsen's public persona for a brilliant inventor contrasted sharply with the horrific crime that he committed. Ultimately, justice was served with Madsen's conviction, but the loss of Kim Wall left an indelible mark on the world of journalism and beyond. That is all for the case of Kim Wall. Don't forget to subscribe so you're notified on my next true crime case. Like the video if you really did like the video, and comment down below your thoughts on this case, along with any others you'd like me to look into. It could be my next one.